webinar in our web. Right, thanks a lot. And the webinar will be available in our web page of the project in the section of the second open call together with the slides. Okay, so you can check afterwards and well with more detail. So just before starting, some aspect about the session. All the participants will be muted, okay, during the session. But in the meantime, you can use the chat and yeah, the chat and the corresponding section to post your comments. And as according to the agenda, we will address your question during the Q&A time after our presentation. Depending on the time, we will try to answer as many questions as possible. And of course, if not, we will answer by email. We can give the floor to some of you if you want to speak personally, or you can use the chat as I informed. And again, the slides and the recording will be available in our webpage after the webinar. So just a few comments about the project, because I think it is important for all of you to be in the same page and what the project is about. Just the main facts of the project is that well, the project started 18 months ago. Almost 18 months ago, the 1st of September in 2020. It has been funded by the European Commission under the Horizon 2020 program, which already finished, but some projects are still working. And the project will be open for 40 months until the end of 2023. So here you can see several facts about the project, but for you to know that one of the most important aspects of our project is that by contract, we have to devote half of our budget, more than half of our budget, to support SMEs and startups. And part of this exercise is this open call and the experiments. Okay, so the view of the user side, the view of the user is very important for us, not only from the quantitative perspective, but also from the qualitative perspective. And this is why we give so much importance to the experiments, to the open calls first, and then to the experiments, because for us it's a critical part of our project. As you can see here, the project is composed of 21 direct partners from 12 different countries. But if you see, for instance, the map of the hubs involved in the project, you can see that already we are more than 20 hubs. It means that in principle, there are only 12 partners of the project which are hubs, but we are increasing the group during the project phase, also with open call for hubs. We already had our open call for hubs to increase the federation. Now, at this time, we are 21 hubs that you can see here that are federating services in the catalog that you have access to. And for the last open call for experiments, this group will increase even more with more hubs. So the idea is that, and it is according to the objectives of our project, which is to establish the so-called European Federation of Data-Driven Innovation Hubs. So we started from a group of 12 hubs, we increased to 21, and we will increase to 30 hubs at the end of the project. And these hubs represent the offer side of our federation. You, the SMEs and startup, represent the user side, and the hubs represent the offer side. And the idea is to build this ecosystem all together to be able to bring together all these initiatives at European level, okay, to contribute to the creation of the common European data space. As you probably know, data spaces are a key hot topic now for the European Commission and for Europe to build those spaces where all of us can share data, mobilize data, collaborate with each other in order to get real value from the data. And we are creating this ecosystem. Okay. Also here you can see also other objectives of the project that probably to some of them you will also be contributing to, for instance, creation of innovative products based on data sharing and cross-boundary services, and it is very much related to those experiments and the calls. To guarantee also the impact and visibility and attract end user, and it is also part of our activities, what we are doing now, to add value to the ecosystem of initiatives in Europe. And this is why we are bringing together all those big actors in the European landscape, and to identify needs, to identify also requirements from the different stakeholders and users, and to implement to improve our offer and our assets. Okay, so this is basically the scope of the project. Here I just want to emphasize the double dimension of the project. On the one hand, as I mentioned before, we are addressing both the offer side, represented by the digital innovation hubs, but also the demand side, represented by our local ecosystem in each of the ecosystem of the hubs, the SMEs, startup industry in our local ecosystem, but also the ecosystem represented by all the SMEs coming to our experiments through these open calls. Okay. And on the other hand, as you can imagine, both the European dimension, we are bringing together European initiatives to build this federated catalog, to mobilize data, mobilize assets at European level, but also to solve challenges to meet the needs and the requirements of our ecosystem at regional level. Okay, so this is basically summarizes the objectives and also the dimension of the project. Just to provide just a more general view of the project is based on 6 pillars that more or less have been explained before. So the first is the starting point, the group of 5 spaces of BDBA in 2018, which are the 12 hubs, initially members of the federation. The second point is the evolution. And the proof of this evolution is just we incorporated again 9 new hubs to this open call just to provide services for this open call. And we are incorporating 9 more hubs for the third open call of experiments. Okay, so our catalog and our federation are constantly increasing and growing. Third point is the community. We are not only addressing again the offer and the demand, but we are also addressing other actors that can contribute to data sharing, to data value. For instance, we are addressing also actors as GaiaX, also AI4EU project. We are also addressing other hubs in other domains. We are also addressing Center of Excellence on AI and cybersecurity, etc., etc. The fourth point is the offer, and the offer it's one of the main assets of the project and of the federation. And of course, it's very important for you guys because you have to refer to this offer in your applications. We will go with more detail after in this presentation, but as you can imagine, the offer, the catalog of services, data sets, and training and more is one of the key pillars of the project. The fifth pillar is the demand, represented by you, by the SMEs, by the industry, by the end user of this offer. And the sixth pillar is the future, and it's very important for us because for us the project is the pilot that somehow is going to serve us to define the future of the federation, because the idea is that this federation will outlast the project, and once the project is done, this federation of data-driven hubs will continue. So our idea is to create this sustainable ecosystem, taking into account all the learnings from the project, all the models defined during the project to materialize this collaboration once the project is finished. So again, our view of the project, our view of the ecosystem is very well represented by these 6 pillars. And yes, I guess that the experiments at some point or somehow, if not have to consider, at least should or might consider all these aspects in the as part of the experiments. But just going with more detail to the experiments and the open call, what do we expect with the experiments? As I mentioned before, they are very important for us, the open call and the experiments. And we have tried to somehow summarize here what we are expecting for the experiment. So first, of course, attract end users to the asset of the federation to create awareness among our respective ecosystem, but also at European level, all of our activities, and more specifically about the assets, about our catalog of assets and about our activities, to support SMEs and startups in the creation of innovative data-driven solutions and services. So this is the core of the experiments, to create those new solutions, to foster collaboration among hubs and of the federation, because for us, collaboration is one of the key words of the project, and we are using somehow the experiment to foster this collaboration. We are trying to collaborate, but sometimes we need, the force of external stakeholders to force ourselves to collaborate even further. So we are using the experiment for that. We are also using the experiments and the view of the SMEs to check the satisfaction of the users, as and end users, so we can improve our service delivery. And of course, the idea, and related to the 6 pillars that I presented before, the future, the idea is to keep you engaged after the funding phase and to be engaged in the different activities of the federation to create this ecosystem that I mentioned before. At the end of the day, we are trying to contribute with the European Commission to the creation of these so-called European common data spaces. So this is about the project. Just for you to know that since this is the second open call for experiments, the first open call closed last year, and we selected 10 experiments in the first open call that started to run in May 2021. And actually they are almost finished. So the next month is the last month of this experiment. And well, we are quite happy with the selection, with the process. We are already happy with the impact of the experiments, and you can find more information about those experiments in our webpage. So maybe you can use those experiments as guidance of what we are looking for in terms of description, sectors, KPIs, etc. Again, this open call is quite similar to the previous one. We are, and we will explain later on the main aspect of this open call. But here you have also this information that you can use again as guidance. It's not only about the experiments, it's only about joint activities together, dissemination, promotion, events, technical meetings, and we are trying to also identify and exploit other additional opportunities. And the last open call, because this is the second open call, just for you to know, we are launching a third open call that will be launched at the end of yes, during this year, but for you to know that we have still an additional open call that will be launched after this is closed. Okay. And this is all for just to give you more information about the project. I hope I provided relevant information, useful for you, because now we are moving to the experiment as such, what we are looking for and what we are offering. Okay. And I think this is more interesting for you, because it will help you somehow to shape the scope and to refine the scope of your applications. Okay. So what we are looking for can be summarized in 4 points that are represented by these icons. So the first point is that you have to make use of the assets of the federation, because it's very important for us, of course, that it's crucial, because we are using the SMEs to check and to test our joint delivery offer. So first, to use the assets of the federation. Secondly, the experiment has to result in innovative data-driven products and services that are useful also for you as SME, that you can incorporate in your respective portfolios and catalog. The third point is that the experiments have to contribute to the KPIs of the project, and I will explain later on how they can contribute. And finally, the experiments have to contribute to the creation of European common data spaces. So let me go one by one. Okay. First, use of assets from the federated catalog. So as you probably know, because it is highlighted several times in the guideline for applicants, the application has to involve a minimum of 2 and a maximum of 5 data-driven services from our federated catalog, coming from a minimum of 2 and a maximum of 3 different hubs. So the idea again is to force the collaboration between those hubs and to include in the experiments between 2 and 5 data-driven services. So here you have the link to the catalog of the services, and okay, I guess that you can see the catalog now. If you go to this link to the EUHubs4Data.eu/services, you will see this page. Okay, the catalog of our services. First thing that you have to consider is that we have here two labels. First, we have the catalog of all the services available, and some of those services has been included for this open call. Okay, so just to include services to this open call, you have to go to this label, open call services, because some of the services in the other catalog are not eligible for this open call. So be sure that we include services that are included in this label, open call services. So this is the first thing. The second thing is that here you have several filters that you can use to filter the services by type of service. And once you select, for instance, one type of services, a new tier or a new layer is displayed. So you can even refine your search, for instance, selecting the name of the service that you are looking for, and then you will see in the center of the screen the services that fall under this name and this type of service. For instance, if we select business development and ecosystem building, from that you have all these sections. If you select brokerage, awards and challenges, you will see that only that we have 2 services that fall into this category. So we have one service from CIDAR, and we have another service from Big Data COE in Barcelona. So here, if you go to if you click this service, you will go directly to the description of the service, where you will see full information about the service, type, region, language, description of the service, use case examples, relevant links, and also you have also here the DIH who is offering the service. So you can go also to the web page of the DIH if you need more information about this hub, and also you can go directly to the web page of the service just to get more information. In the case that more information is needed, you can even fill out this questionnaire, okay? And this questionnaire will go directly to us, and we can just either forward this request to the corresponding hub, or we can just answer you directly if we are able to do that. So just the idea is just for you to know that all the information about the services is here in this screen, and you can select the different services based on this filter. You can also select by member. For instance, you can go only to and display the services offered by 1 or 2 of the hubs, also applying both filters. And again, you will go to the list of services, and you can again click in any of the services, and you will got the final the complete description. So it means that depending on what you are looking for your experiment, you can filter, you can go and you can check the hub who is offering the services, just to be sure that you are compliant with this requirement to select between 2 and 5 services coming from 2 or 3 different hubs, and also coming from different countries. Okay. It is also important that at least one hub is coming from a country different from yours, just to be sure that you are proposing a cross-border experiment. So this is the first point about the service that you have to include in the experiment. Second point, very important, is that this combination of services, the service that you're including, you don't have to include just for the sake of meet the requirement, but it has to fit the purpose of your experiment. So it really has to address your problems. It has to give you the solution for your experiment, and it has to be meaningful in the context of your application. Okay. In the case of doubt, you can contact the hub, or you can contact us, either sending the questionnaire, either using this email, or contacting the hub directly through the contact point that we have in the webpage, and that Jorge will explain later on. The second point about the federated catalog is just you have to use at least one data set, either coming from the catalog or even from an external source. So you have to include in your application an external data set, because at the end of the day, the experiment is based on data. So at least you have to start from a data set that you are proposing. In the same way, if you go to our webpage, you will go to our catalog, and you can find here services we already saw, and datasets. And in datasets, you can do the same exercise. You can filter datasets by domain, by coverage format, by different information. And for instance, if we want to see datasets from health, here you will see all the datasets that we are proposing you that you can include or you can use for health. So you can go through the list and check if some of those datasets meet your requirements as experiment, and include those datasets in the application. Okay. Again, otherwise you can include datasets from an external source or from an additional source that you can propose, and that's it. You are compliant. You are compliant with this requirement. It's not mandatory, but it's important that the experiment generate also datasets during the execution of the experiment, and you are also asked in the application. Again, it's not mandatory, but it's quite important for us because it contributes to the KPIs of the project. So in mandatory that you include datasets as a starting point, and also important that you generate a dataset during the experiment. Okay. And my last point about the catalog is that be sure that when including the services and datasets in the application, you include the link to each of them. Okay, if you go to, for instance, to each of the dataset or the services, you go to this bar. So you copy and paste and include the link in the application, because for us it will be easier to go through your application and to check what services and datasets you are including. Otherwise, can be a bit confusing for us to check this information. Okay. Okay, so those are the aspects about the offer, the catalog. The next point is outcomes from the experiment. Okay, so for us, it's important that the outcomes of the experiment are also useful for you. In terms of first is a solution and a product that you can include in your catalog, and it's quite innovative and also rely on data technologies and data analytics, but also that the experiment is quite mature, close to market. Okay, we are not looking for specific TRLs, technology readiness level. If you are not familiarized with this terminology, TRL, technology readiness level, you can look in Google, because it's quite common to use this terminology. So it means from 1 to 9, we are looking for levels quite close to 9. So in principle, from 7 to 9, which means that we are talking about the prototype, if I remember well, prototype in an operating environment, something like that. But in any case, we are looking for quite mature solutions. Okay, we are not looking for research, we are not looking for proof of concept, but we are an experimentation. We are a group providing experimentation facilities, and we are using the experiments to produce results very close to the market. You have doubt, you can contact us. Again, it's not very strict that it has to be between 7 and 9, but at least close to the market. Okay. It has been presented as key exploitable results, so meaning that you have to present how you are planning to exploit the results from the project, from the experiments, and of course, as I mentioned before, to be included in your portfolio and justify the impact in your organization. The third point that I presented is contribution to the KPIs of the project. Because again, the experiments are expected to benefit not only the SMEs, your companies, but also our project in different ways. So the idea is that your experiment contribute at least to 4 of our KPIs, or at least to some of the KPIs that you can contribute to. Of course, we have many other KPIs that you can check here in this section, impact. But we have somehow extracted the KPIs that we think that you can contribute to, and these are these 6 KPIs. Some of them you are already contributing, because you are proposing data sets, and you are also proposing innovation and cares, key exploitable results. So you can use your application to select some of those KPIs and specify what 4 of those KPIs you are contributing more. Okay, for instance, annual increase of catalog datasets, shared, reuse, and traded. So again, we already mentioned that you have to propose dataset, number of datasets resulting from the experiments. As I mentioned before, it's valuable that the experiment results in new datasets, revenues of the involved SMEs. So you can use the experiment to increase your SMEs based on the results that you are producing. Also, new solutions based on user needs and satisfaction of the drivers. So here you can focus on the expectation of your users, and see if the experiment is aligned with the needs. Produce a data-driven innovation, for instance. It could be also a KPI. And finally, new job profiles and new job created. So you can also focus on the job profiles and check if this experiment is helping you or supporting you to create new jobs. Okay. And finally, the last point of the challenges. In principle, when we design this open call, we thought how to propose you some hints or some guidelines on proposing challenges for the experiments. And we thought that a good starting point could be the European data strategy that the European Commission published in 2019. Of course, we are not expecting you to go through this strategy. You could for sure, but because it's very interesting and it is what our project is addressing. But the idea is basically that you address some of the specific sectors that the European Commission has considered as a strategy. And in principle, the European Commission identified those 9 sectors that you can see here: health, industry and manufacturing, agriculture, finance, mobility, Green Deal, energy, and public administration and skills. Because for those data spaces, the European Commission provided some challenges that could be addressed, and we have included in the guidelines those challenges. So you can directly refer to those challenges, and that's it, okay? But of course, we are not limited to those 9 sectors and to those challenges. So now you can propose additional sectors. If it is the case, for instance, we have proposed here some of them: smart communities, smart cities, tourism, language, cultural heritage, and media. In this case, we cannot give you more ideas about what challenges you can propose, but of course, if you are addressing some of those sectors, be sure that at least you propose the initial situation of the sector, or at least the initial situation in your case, context, current scenario, the needs of the sector or the needs of the project, and what you are expecting to reach with the project, with the experiment, the impact of the data technology applied to the sector, and basically how you are expecting to improve this sector with the experiment, with the assets from the project, and with the work that you are expecting to do during the experiment. So basically, just to summarize, we rely on these 9 sectors because we provided some guidance according to the Commission in the guidelines. But if you are proposing other sector, it's fine for us as long as you identify the challenges and you describe those challenges and how you are addressing those challenges in the application. Okay. And my last slide is about the offer. Probably you are already aware of that. What we are offering, it can be summarized in these 6 points. So access to our catalog of data, of data services and data sets. I already explained that. Technical business coaching and follow-up for the DIHs during the experiment. Our guidance as digital and business skills, the financial support that you already know, 60 euros per experiment, visibility and promotion in all our channels, and we will also help you to define an exploitation plan for the results of the project. I will not go into detail of any of that because I think that it is basically my time, but I provide more detail about each of our offer. So again, the financial support, 60 euros, flat rate against the accomplishment of the objectives of your experiment. The hubs will provide the services selected in the experiment, support from the hubs, and support and definition of the exploitation plan and visibility. That's all from my side. I took 30 minutes, which is basically what was expected. Jorge, I will hand over to you and I will check the chat. Thanks a lot for your attention.
Okay, many thanks, Daniel. I'm going to share my screen. Okay. Daniel, can you stop sharing because it seems that I cannot share if. Okay. Now, okay, I'm going to share the screen. And this is the presentation in presentation mode, I guess. So, well, as Daniel said, in the second part of the webinar, I'm going to try to explain the most important things about the process of the open call and the main documents involved in the proposal submission. So, well, let's start with the process for the application. And the first step is to download all kinds of documents you need to apply, which mainly involve the guidelines for applicants and the template for the subgrant and the template for the application form and also the subgrant agreement. The guidelines for applicants define the general aspects of the 3 open calls of our project, but also the particularities of each of these open calls that we're opening along the EUHubs4Data project. And regarding the templates, it's important that you download both templates to start being familiarized with the application form that you must fill online and on the submission platform, and the subgrant agreement that you will sign in case your experiment is selected for funding. So I'm going to go to the web page where you can find it. I hope you're seeing the web page, and there, if you go to the open call section, you can find here all the open calls that we're opening. We are now in the second open call for experiments, which is this web page, and here you will find all the information related to the open call and also the link to the submission platform and so on. So if you go to the second section of this web page, you will find all the documentation you will need to apply. As I said, the guidelines for applicants, the template for the subgrant agreement, the template for the application form, and also other documents that you will have to attach to the application form when you are submitting an application. Okay, coming back to the presentation. It will be the step one to download all kind of documents. And then the second step is to carefully read these documents, especially the guidelines. And in case of that, visit the frequent asked question section of the project website. Okay, let's come again to the website. In this web page of the second open call, at the bottom of the web page, you will see that we have a section which includes the frequent asked questions, and it has questions about the project, but also about the open call. So if you have any doubt, you can go there, and if you have further doubts, you can write us. And coming back again to the presentation, the third step will be to prepare the application, and you can decide whether to prepare the application directly on the online form of the submission platform, or to prepare it using the template we provide you on the website. And once you have the template ready, just copy and paste to the online form. This will be the step 4, and finally the step 5 is to click on submit, obviously before the deadline. Regarding the online submission platform, I don't know if some of you participated in the first open call, but a novelty of this second open call is that we have a new platform for the submission. This platform has been prepared by a partner of our consortium, which is the Digital SME Alliance, which is the largest network of ICT SMEs in Europe, representing more than 45,000 SMEs in total. In the slide, you have the direct link for the new platform, and also, if you enter to the platform, you should click on the Apply Now button to start the submission. Then a prompt appears to let you know that you can submit an application as a guest or creating an account on the online submission platform. The main difference is that if you create an account, then you have the save functionality, you have the save button that let you complete the application form online in different days. So you can complete some questions, save the form, close the application, and return to the form a few days later and keep completing it. However, this functionality, as I said, is associated to your account in the platform, and is not enabled if you start an application as a guest. So if you enter as a guest, you can prepare the application offline using the template we provide you in the website, and then submit it as a guest without creating an account. So if we go again to the web page of the second open call and we go to the top, you can see here the Apply Now button that goes directly to the submission platform. And in the submission platform, as I said before, you have to click on Apply Now button. Then a prompt appears. Well, we have not seen the prompt because, as you can see here, I'm already registered and it has detected automatically. But if not, you will have a prompt that will let you register or enter as a guest. And if you register and enter in your account, you will see the form that has several sections, the administrative information, the excellence, impact, implementation, and ethics sections, and you can navigate through all this section without the need to complete all the questions of a previous section. And regarding the save button of the save functionality that you have only if you are entering, creating an account, it is at the bottom of the ethics webpage, of the ethics section, sorry. And if you go to this, if you go through the ethics section, you will see that you have the save button, but also the submit button. These buttons are not in any other section. For example, if you go to excellence and you go to the bottom of the page, you will see that the save button is not here and is not also in the other section. The save button is only in the ethics section, and also the submit button is only also in the ethics section, the last section of the application. Okay, and coming back to the presentation, here you will see the list of submission documents that you have to prepare, and the main one is obviously is the application form. But you will see that some questions of the application form involve the submission of 3 other specific documents, which are the declaration of honor, the ethics self-assessment document, and the commitment to set a registered SME, which is only mandatory for applicants that are group of web entrepreneurs. Obviously, already registered SME don't have to upload this document. Well, although the application form should be filled online at the submission platform provided by the Digital SME Alliance, as I said before, in the web page of the project, you will find a template where you can prepare your application offline. The form has 34 questions organized in 5 main sections. The administrative and ethics questions are not considered in the evaluation, but are required to be eligible. In fact, there are 2 questions in the administrative section and 1 in the ethics section that imply to upload the documents I previously mentioned. We will go in more detail about these documents in the following slides. But just to let you know that the other questions are organized in 3 sections: excellence, impact, and implementation, and each section has the same weight on the evaluation. Also, last thing for the application form, be aware that most of the questions have a description text explaining what we expect from this question. So please read carefully this explanation before answering a question. Here in the slide, you can see that there is the question, the explanation, and the form to respond, to make the response. Okay. One of the documents that applicants must fill and upload to the application form is the declaration of honor. The declaration of honor can be downloaded at the project webpage, as we've seen before, and it is a declaration where applicants sign that they agree with all terms and conditions of the open call and other general clauses. Before uploading the document, it should be signed by a legal representative of the SME applying to the call. This is important. Another document to be uploaded to the application form is the commitment to set a registered SME. As I said before, this document is only mandatory for applicants that are a group of web entrepreneurs. And it is a document to specify that in case your proposal is selected for funding, you are committed to register an SME in an eligible country. To prepare this document, there is a template annexed as Annex 3 of the Subran Agreement template that you can download from the project website. So please use this template to prepare this document. Obviously, as I said before, SMEs that are already registered are not required to upload this document. And finally, all applicants must upload the document called Ethics Self-Assessment. It is a yes/no questionnaire to declare the ethics compliance of the project. The document is available also at the webpage of our second open call, as we seen before. Also, in this slide, you can see the direct link for downloading it. Once you're filling the self-assessment, it is important that you revise the specific links included in column E of the document. One of the links goes to the web page specifying the ethics requirements that the experiment should fulfill in case any yes is raised in the questionnaire. And also there is a link to frequent asked questions regarding the ethics, the ethics side. This will be really helpful for fulfilling this questionnaire, I guess. And finally, let me remark that ethics is really important for our project. In fact, the EUHubs4Data project has an ethics monitoring group and an ethics external advisor that will revise this information for the experiments proposed for funding. So as an applicant, you should see this self-assessment as an opportunity to collaborate with both the ethics monitoring group and the external advisor and benefit from their knowledge and expertise to improve potential ethical issues that may arise in the future commercialization of the results of your experiment. Regarding the application, there are also 2 specific sections of the proposal that are quite relevant, or at least we consider relevant for the experiment. One is the appropriate dimensioning of the demand of services from the EUHubs4Data catalog, and the other is the definition of milestones for monitoring the progress of the experiments. We are going to go one by one. And regarding the first one, since one of our main assets, as Daniel said before, is the federated catalog of services that we offer to the applicants for their benefit in the experiment, one thing that we consider really relevant for the open call is that applicants make a good dimensioning when demanding the services from our catalog in the application form. In this sense, we have limited the demand of services up to 5 services, but it is important that you know that it is not a matter of quantity, but quality. And what I mean is that the experiments involving 5 services, which is the higher limit that you can select from the catalog, will not necessarily be better evaluated than experiment selecting 2 services, which is the lower limit. Since the services are really wide and diverse, it will depend on different factors. And here is where we have defined what we consider a good dimensioning, which considers a trade-off between 3 different factors. The first one is to choose a combination of services that complement each other to benefit from a more advanced service. The second one is to choose services that has a relevant contribution to your experiment, to the goals and the results of your experiment. And finally, the third factor is to choose a combination of services that it is feasible to be offered with the maximum resources that DIHs can devote to each experiment. And I will try to explain it because this is a bit tricky. In the guidelines of applicants, we let all applicants, we let you know that each experiment can benefit from a technical support that is valued in a maximum of 70,000 euros, comprising all the services that you select for in your experiment. So to avoid over-dimensioned selection of services, we have limited the maximum number to 5. However, since each service requires a different amount of support offered by the DIHs, applicants are still required to try to balance this support to fit with the 70,000 euros. This means that if you plan to involve 4 services, the technical support of all DIHs to offer you as an applicant these 4 services may not exceed these 70,000 euros. And finally, let me say that the cost of each service is not prefixed by the DIH because the same service could require different dedication depending on the experiment needs. So therefore, in the guidelines of applicants, since it is a bit tricky, we are encouraging applicants to contact DIHs in advance to help you in the dimensioning of the resources you're asking for in the application form. So we encourage you to contact DIHs in advance. And so how to achieve a good dimensioning? So first, it is important to carefully revise the whole catalog of services to select a set of services that complement each other and fit to the need of your experiments. And then it is important to contact the DIHs in advance for the dimensioning in terms of technical support required. To contact the DIHs, you can contact them through the individual form that Daniel was sharing before, that you can find at the end of each service webpage, or you can use the available contact list that you will find in the guidelines for applicants. If you use the contact list, you can send an email and contact to the 2 or the 3 DIHs you plan to involve in your experiment at once to let them know about your experiment idea and what you will require for each service. Then DIHs can help you to know if your idea fits with available resources and it's well dimensioned in terms of resources or not. Well, the second issue that is quite relevant in the proposal preparation is the definition of milestones for the experiment execution. There is a specific question in the application form for defining the milestones and the expected values that will be used for monitoring the progress of your experiment if it's selected for funding. To this end, applicants should propose a minimum of 3 and a maximum of 5 milestones. And this is very important since the funding of the open call to the beneficiaries is results driven, which means that the payment on each justification period will be done according to the accomplishment of these milestones that you have defined. So if you achieve the expected milestones, you will receive the funding. Therefore, it is important to set achievable milestones, but since it will be part of the evaluation criteria, milestones should be also ambitious for increasing your chances in the evaluation. And finally, if an experiment is selected for funding before the signature of the subgrant agreement, the DIHs involved in the experiment may propose modifications on your proposed milestones and values that you included in the application form. It may happen if any DIH consider that there are other milestones that will help to better monitor the execution and the impact of the experiment. Well, once we have revised the main submission documents and all relevant issues of the application, we're going to try to give you some recommendations as good practices to try to write a winning proposal. The first recommendation is to start the preparation early to take the necessary time to think on a suitable experiment that fits the call condition. And it is important to think on how your experiment can be unique, innovative, and ambitious. So take your time to think on that. Also, it is important to make sure you understand the open call condition and requirements. So read carefully the documents, mainly the guidelines for applicants, but also revise the whole catalog of services to find the most appropriate for your experiment. And once you have a clear idea about your experiment, it is important to think on how to explain the context, the current scenario as the starting point, and also the expected scenario once the experiment finishes. And another recommendation related to that is to define an ambitious but achievable experiment that could be developed in 9 months, which is the duration of the experiments, 9 months. And finally, the last recommendation is to think as an evaluator when you are preparing the application. This is very important to make that you make an effort to explain the key unique things on your proposal. The evaluators will not read any other source of information apart from your form. Also, it is important to bear in mind the evaluation criteria while filling the application form, and you can find these evaluation criteria in the guidelines for applicants. Besides, here you can find some frequent errors for each section that applicants may do while preparing the application form. Regarding the frequent administrative errors, although are obvious, we would like to remind you that you will not be able to submit an application after the deadline, and that you should fill all the questions that are mandatory to be eligible and upload all required documents using the official templates. If not, you will not be eligible. Regarding the XLX section, one of the main common errors is to provide a short explanation about the concept of the experiment, the added value, or the proposed innovation. Don't assume that the evaluators know your specific context. As I said before, the form is the only source of information that the evaluators will read regarding your experiment. Also, let me repeat the importance of contacting the IHs to help you in the dimensioning of the service. So please contact the IHs in advance. And the impact it's the previous one, sorry. On the impact section, it is really important to demonstrate that your experiment is ambitious but realistic. And to this end, we recommend you quantifying. And quantifying could be quantified the expected performance, the added value compared to competition, the expected impacts of the experiment, and things like that. So you can quantify also using numbers, or even using percentages to specify an increase or a reduction of any indicator compared to competition or to the state of the art. Regarding the implementation section, it is your opportunity to convince evaluators that you can materialize your experiment. So think on a convincing work plan that could be achieved in 9 months, define the appropriate milestones to monitor the progress of the experiment, and the deliverables that will be sent to justify the accomplishment of these milestones if your experiment is selected for funding. And finally, try to demonstrate that you have the necessary expertise to carry out the proposed work plan. Also, finally, don't see the ethics self-assessment document as a document to complete quickly, responding all questions with a no. It may be the case that no ethical issues applies to your experiment, but if yes, it is your opportunity to collaborate with our ethics experts and benefit from their knowledge to improve potential ethical issues of the products or services that will result from the experiment execution. So it should be seen as an opportunity for applicants. And well, once you submit the application, this figure summarizes the whole process until the beneficiary receives the funds. So the first step we will do is to perform an initial filtering of proposals, checking that applicants are eligible and the proposal fulfill all the submission requirements. After this initial filtering of proposals, the external experts will perform the evaluation according to the evaluation criteria that you can find in the guidelines for applicants. We are not going to evaluate your proposals. The proposal will be evaluated by external experts. Once we receive the evaluation from the external evaluators, we will order the experiments by rank, and we will propose for funding the ones with higher rank until covering the funds. And for this second open call, we can grant up to 14 experiments. In the first open call, we granted 10, and in this second open call, we will grant 14 experiments. Therefore, the 14 with higher rank will be proposed for funding. Then some internal checks regarding the DIH support devoted to each experiment and ethical issues will be revised for the experiments proposed for funding, and then the selected experiments will be required to sign the sub-grant agreement with the coordinator of the EUHubs4Data project. And after that, the experiment will start. Regarding the payments, beneficiaries will be paid only by achieving the expected results. This means that the funding will depend on accomplishing the specific milestones that we were saying before, and will not depend on justifying invoices or personnel dedication. We are not going to ask you to send us the personnel dedication or the invoices you are having. And also, it's important that you know that there will be 2 justification periods, one at month 5, the intermediate review, and the other at month 10, once the experiments are finished. As commented before, the milestones for monitoring the success of the experiment will be proposed by applicants in the application form, but their proposal may be revised by the DIHs involved in the experiment before the sub-grant signature. And also, at each justification period, beneficiaries must send at least one deliverable justifying the accomplishment of these milestones, of these expected results, according to the defined milestones. And the DIHs involved in the experiment will be in charge of reviewing these deliverables. And the positive assessment of the DIHs is necessary to receive the grant at each stage, at each intermediate payment or at each intermediate justification period. And finally, here is the calendar for the second open call. The deadline is on the 1st of February. Then communication of result is expected about April. And finally, the selected experiments will start hopefully on May. Please remember to apply before the 1st of February. This is the most important thing in this process now. And I guess that's all. So we still have some minutes for any questions. And if you have some questions, you can ask now, or even you can send us to this email.
Thanks a lot, Jorge. I am checking the chat and I saw several questions that we can address now. So first, in case we intend to use a service from a DIH, should we inform the DIH during the application? It was already explained by Jorge. It is not mandatory to check with the DIHs that you are including the application, but it is recommendable. Mostly, first, for you to understand very clear what the services are doing. So because maybe the information provided in the web page is not enough for you to define or to include in the application. But most important, because as Jorge explained, the experiment has to be very well dimensioned in the sense that the support that you are requiring from the hubs has to be in the amount of budget that we have allocated for this experiment, which is 70 euros. So it is important that what you are including in the experiment is very well dimensioned and according to our budget. Okay. It doesn't mean that we are going to check the budget exactly 70 euros exactly, and no, it's just a matter of not requiring from the hubs more than we have allocated for the project. So again, not mandatory, but recommendable first to define the experiment, secondly to dimension the experiment. So this is I don't know, Jorge, if you want to add something.
No, you explained it very well. So it's not mandatory, it's recommendable.
Second question, the question of the questionnaire are the same as they use in the first open call, most of them. Some of them, I would say, could we recover the info we submitted in the first open call to change, improve it? So Jorge, you can answer that.
Yeah, of course. Resubmission is allowed in the open call as long as you were not selected during the beneficiaries, you can resubmit the proposal, but be aware that some questions will have changed. So please take your time to look at the questionnaire and detect the questions that have changed and so on. But you can resubmit the info, of course.
Okay, thanks, Jorge. Must the DIH be in another country as the SME, or can you have one in your own country? Yeah, maybe I didn't explain it very well. In principle, the DIH could be from any country. The only requirement is that at least one DIH is from a country different to the SME. It implies that the experiment is cross-border. So at least one actor in the experiment should be in a different country from the other. For instance, if the SME is based in Latvia, you can use a DIH from Latvia, but the other DIH should be from another country. But of course, both DIHs could be from another country. So it's the combination are multiple, but at least one of the actors has to be from a different country from another. So this is the point of the experiment. Okay.
And also, let me, Daniel, jump in. both DIHs can be from the same country, but if this country is not the country of the SME, for example, an SME from French could select two services from two DIHs from Spain, for example.
I hope it is more clear. Well, I am also checking the Q&A section of Zoom. So now the next question is, okay, we are considering applying and wanted to know if there are any specific hubs that can help with legal advice regarding data mining, web scraping, GDPR, etc. And it's a good point because I probably skipped this point. Let me okay. Let me, Jorge, share my screen just for a little bit.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I went very quickly through the catalog, but for instance, you can go. For me, I cannot answer the question now because I don't have in my mind all our catalog. But if you go to our catalog, for instance, and you filter by legal, for instance, I guess you can see my screen, right, Jorge?
Yeah, we can see.
So you can use this not filter but searching. So you search using a keyword, for instance, legal. You will got all the services that at least include legal word in the description. And for instance, I can see this assessment on ethical aspect of AI, which is provided by the UPM, Polytechnic University of Madrid. This is the hub of the UPM. But also there also this service, explainable AI development, that is provided by SDIL in Germany. So you can filter by legal, you can filter also, sorry, not filter, but you can search by GDPR, and you will, for instance, and yeah, more or less are the same: advisory decisions for development, assessment, ethical aspect of AI, and explainable AI development. So my answer for this question is I don't have the clear vision of all the services we are offering, but you can check, you can search in the catalog, and in case of doubt, you can contact the hub who is providing the service. Okay, for instance, if you search by web scraping, you can find some services that maybe are not addressing web scraping as such, but at least those aspects of the scraping, and you can ask directly the hub. Okay, so hope I answered this question. Next one, how datasets are secure? How datasets are secure with the necessity to discuss and negotiate to use dataset. I don't know if I understand very well this question, but in terms of security, we rely on the security of the actors of the experiment. So if you are bringing datasets to the experiment, we will have to talk to the hub. If they are providing a secure environment, most of them are, and you can also check with them by email if you want. But basically, we as a project, we are not building any additional platform. We are relying on the capacity of our hubs, the infrastructure of our hubs, and of the SMEs coming to the experiment. So we will have to define together a security map for the datasets if needed. And again, you can ask in advance the hubs, but we are not providing any specific secure platform as a project. Okay, we are a federation of hubs, so it depends on the hub and it depends on the actor. Okay. Okay, are there restrictions on what the funds of the 60K can be spent, personal costs, external consultants? So maybe Jorge, you can answer this question.
No, there is no restriction as long as we are not going to check it. Because as I said, it's results-driven funding. So the only restriction is that you fulfill your experiment and the milestones that you sign in the subgrant agreement, which will be the ones you proposed in your application form, and maybe something that the DIHs can add to this proposal. But we are not going to ask you to send us the personal education, the invoices, and so on. So there is no restriction in the 60K euros that we will give you as a grant.
Exactly. You don't have to justify the cost. You just have to justify the results. So this is a result-driven project, and of course, and we will be quite strict on the results for sure. So focus on the results. And you have to dimension the experiment and also to plan your budget according to these results and the working plan that we are asking in the application. Next question, will the evaluators know the identity of the applicants they evaluate?
Yeah, if you want, I can respond it. They will know your identity because we will have to send them the application form. But 2 different evaluators will evaluate each application. So we will take the mean of both applications, of both evaluators.
Yeah, and well, I don't know exactly the reason of this question. Of course, we will try to avoid conflict of interest as much as possible.
Yeah, the first thing that we do with the evaluators is when we send them the application form, we ask them to tell us that they have no conflict of interest. If they told us that they have a conflict of interest, we assign this application form to a different evaluator.
Okay, thanks a lot, Jorge. Another question, is it possible to receive the link of the recording of the presentation? Not yet, so because we have to edit the link, the recording and upload to our webpage, but you will find the recording in our webpage between today and tomorrow. So stay tuned and you will find the recording, okay? Now the recording is in Zoom, I guess. Okay, let me check the chat again.
But also, Daniel, they can download the presentation because the presentation was uploaded when we did the first webinar. So in the webpage of the second open call, you can download the PDF presentation.
Yeah, you're right. In the meantime, yes, until the recording is ready, you can check the presentation here. Okay. Let me how I can.
It will be the presentation of the first webinar, but it's more or less the same.
So here you have the slides that more or less summarizing our presentation. This webinar. Again, the webinar will be available between today and tomorrow, as long as we edit and we upload to our webpage. And that's it. I don't see any other question, neither in the chat nor in the Q&A section. So I guess that more or less everything is clear now. Any last question? If not, again, you can contact us by email, or you can fill out the questionnaire in the webpage of the project and the open call. Remember that you have time until the 1st of February. So be aware of the deadline. It's around the corner. So we encourage all of you to work hard on the proposals, to contact the hubs, to contact ourselves if something is not clear, and the best of success for all of you. Nothing else from my side, Jorge. I don't know if you want to add something, otherwise we can close now.
Nothing else from my side also.
It was a pleasure. Thanks a lot, Jorge. Thanks a lot, Alba, in the background. Thanks a lot, all of you, for your time and your interest in the project. And again, good luck for the call, and contact us if needed. Okay. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Bye.